Hi besties, welcome. I'm Sabrina, or just Bree, and I thought that I would do a little introduction video, partially because I need to explain something really quickly, and you guys might not care, but I care deeply about it. And also just because I want to do the booktube newbies tag. So let's get into it. Who am I? I am a book lover. I am a person who travels for work a lot. And let me just give you the backstory of this channel. So I had an idea to start this channel like 18 months ago because I was looking for people who travel for work, just to have like some content to absorb about that. And what I found was everybody that's traveling for work who's documenting it, they work for these fancy companies and they're like, oh, I'm getting on my jet, or, I've got to fly to this town and meet the team and we're going to go out to dinner tonight. And it's going to be so exciting and all this stuff. I work for the government. So if anybody out there works for the government and has a job where you travel, you know what I mean. But it's not glamorous. It's the glamourless traveling life. I am not on airplanes most of the time. I'm usually in an economy size rental car, and I'm not economy sized myself. Okay, I'm 5'11" and I'm not a skinny mini, so it's not pleasant. And the amount of travel that I do means that I spend a good majority of the year in low budget hotels, right? So the government does not care that I'm not that kind of girly. In my personal life, I'm super bougie, I'm super extra. That's not anything that I could ever try to hide from y'all. But the government doesn't care. They're like, here's $105, make it work. I feel like I'm on set with Tim Gunn. He's like, designers, make it work. It's like, government agency employees, make it work. So that's like what my life is like. And it's also, there's like the gluey oatmeal for breakfast and there's the powdery eggs. Like, it's glamourless, because I am expected to eat the free hotel breakfast that's taken out of my per diem. So I just wanted some like relatable content for people who are like kind of like struggle traveling for work. And so that was what I had planned to make this channel into. And I recorded footage for a full like 18 months worth of videos. And I've edited exactly none of it. And so anyway, it came to 2025 and I'm just like having sort of like a new year, new me moment. I don't really like that phrase, but honestly, if I take stock of things, it's where I'm at. So I'm just like everybody else. I am on a low buy year because my spending was out of control. I am kind of like decluttering, purging, whatever you want to call it, basically my entire house. And so trying to just kind of like, I wouldn't say that I'm going toward minimalism, but I'm trying to minimize the number of things that I do have. And of course she's in her book girl era. I'll get into that in just a minute. So I just have like a lot of things that I just want to talk about, and I don't want to have like a bunch of YouTube channels or anything like that. So I just thought, let's just make it all into one. So that's what we're doing here. The part that I really wanted to explain is that I'm not going to throw away all of that footage that I filmed for the last 18 months. So if you're a person who's confused by continuity on a YouTube channel, please don't be alarmed. You are going to see back footage from time to time of like my old trips, because I did work to record those, so I don't want to throw that in the trash. And it'll just be sprinkled in throughout here and there if I can make it kind of fit in like an overall storyline, even though the footage is really old. So anyway, that's that. So in a nutshell, what can you expect on this channel? You're going to get a couple of things. You're going to get glamourless travel. I'll probably just call it the glamourless travel series. You're going to get booktube stuff, booktube content, but I want to be clear that I don't want to like follow booktube trends. Like I'm not really going to, I want to do what I want to do. I want to talk about the books that I read, and I want to talk about why I'm reading them and what I got out of them. I'll also say that I am a good times reader. So I don't know if that's a real phrase, but I want to read books for the pleasure of reading books. I'm not a huge annotator. I do annotate for book club, the one book club that I do belong to. And I joined that book club because I wanted to stretch myself to read more authors of color. So that book club is specifically focusing on authors of color, and we do have like really good riveting conversations. So I annotate for that so that I can go back and remember. But in general, when I'm reading a book, I just want to read a book and have a good time. I'm not really trying to get too deep into like the plot holes and the themes. Like, I don't really care about the leitmotif of the book. Like, I love that for people who love that, but I just want to have a good time. So we're probably also going to talk about low spend. I don't know how long I plan on being off of social media. Right now, my social media is limited to YouTube, if you consider that social media, and Reddit. So, and I'll say my algorithms are pretty locked. So I was just at a point where social media was causing me anxiety and not fun. And I mean, I feel like social media is supposed to be fun, right? So I'm really not on that right now. I don't know how long that will last, just until I feel like going back on. So we may have to talk about that at some point. I don't know. It's really just my life and my things, and these are the things that I'm interested in. So with that said, let's just do the booktube newbie tag. Okay, so the first question that I saw on there was, who are you? And I think I answered that a little bit already, but I am, if you can't tell, I'm a Black woman. And I am married, I have no kids. I have an electronic dog. It's Amazon's Astro dog, if you know what that is. I don't have a real dog. And I am a person who reads a lot of genres of books. Why did I start this channel? Well, I kind of just went over that, but I really just want a place where I can talk about the books that I want to talk about without the confines of book club. I do love the one book club that I belong to, but I don't want to consume all of my books that way. And I want to just be able to have good times conversations about it. So when I talk about books, what I talk about is like the feeling that it evoked in me, like, and it's not too deep, right? Like, I'm not talking about, oh, and then I had an existential life crisis. No, I don't want to do that. I want to have like a book report afterwards. I just want to talk about it. So currently I am reading the V.E. Schwab series, Darker Shades of Magic. And for me, when I want to talk about that book, what I want to talk about is the fact that I love Kel. Like, I just adore him. And he's not like Book Bae, right? So he's not Cassian. Cassian is Book Bae. Like, I will leave my husband for Cassian. Don't worry, I already told him that. But, you know, I don't love Kel in that way. But I love Kel in, like, he's like my brother kind of way, and I just like want all these good things for him, and like I just am so excited for his life journey, like that kind of way, right? And those are the kind of things that I want to talk about when I talk about a book. And often my like real life friends, my physical friends that are near me, they are not reading the same book as me, even though I read widely across genres. Like, we just are often never reading the same books. And so there's not a lot of opportunity to talk about the things that I want to talk about in the book. And I also just find it a little bit difficult to commit to multiple book clubs with my travel work schedule. So that's just, for me, it feels like this is a good place to talk about the book that I'm currently reading with anybody who wants to read along with me, and who had some also not too deep thoughts. I don't want to call them shallow thoughts. They're not shallow. I have really good thoughts, but they're just not too deep, you know? So that's what I want to talk about. So the next question is, when did you start to read? I don't know that there was a point in time when I started to read. Like, I feel like I've always been an avid reader, an avid storyteller. I remember being in like 3rd grade, and instead of reading along with the class, because I had already finished the book, the teacher sent me to the back of the class to go write my own story, because she was like, you're bored, you're not participating in this with the class, go write your own story and maybe it'll be better than the book. And I don't know if that was supposed to be a threat, but girl, yes, I will absolutely do that. So I've always been a reader. I did take a break for a number of years when I went back to school as an adult learner to get multiple degrees. I got an associate's, a bachelor's, and a master's in like quick successive order. And the amount of academic reading I had to do to get through that really just sucked the life out of me. It sucked the soul out of me. And that's something that I will openly talk about at any point in time. Like, that really did me in. And academic reading, the rigor involved in it was just so much that it brought me to a point where I didn't want to read words anymore. Like, I'm not going to read your blog post. I don't want to read your email. I'm not reading this letter, this Christmas card that came in the mail to me. Like, I didn't want to read words anymore. So I did have a hiatus from reading, but I've always been a reader. So it's 2025. So I would say that I came back to reading in 2022 when I got my job that requires me to be on the road a lot, and I downloaded Audible and I started listening to audiobooks. And that is what really pulled me back into the wide world of reading. And yes, before we get started, audiobooks are reading too. Argue with your mom. It's not going to be me, okay? So yeah, I've always been a reader. Why do I love reading? I just love diving into a story, meeting new friends, and on that note, like, I love a good series. The longer the better. If it's a good series, if there's a reason for it to be a long series, I love it. Don't be writing me 15 books of just this little girl inner monologuing and we haven't even progressed the story after 9,000 pages. So I love a good long series where I can get to know the characters in there, and then I start feeling like they're my besties. And real talk, I do get a little bit sad at the end of a good long series where like my friends are going away. I feel like they're like moving away to college and I'm never going to see them again. But I love all types of genres, and so just the ability to be in a different mood, a different time, a different place at any given time is like, it's just, I don't know, it's like so nice to me. So that's just for me. I don't want to call it escapism because I'm not trying to escape anything. I just want to have fun. I just want to go someplace different. And sometimes I'm on a work trip and that means I can't pick up and go to Italy tomorrow. So I have to go in a book. Which big series got me into reading? Does the Babysitter's Club count? Because I read every single one of those. But I would say like more recently, so I mentioned that I got back into it via Audible because I drive a lot for work, sometimes 6, 7, 8, 9 hours a day of working is driving to a destination. So when I got back into reading via audiobooks, I kind of started with Throne of Glass. So there it is. Yeah, Sarah J. Maas. She pulled me in. We have her to thank for a lot of things today. But Throne of Glass really pulled me in. And when I tell you that I have book besties and at the end of a series, I'm sad to see them go, so imagine me driving down the interstate, stop and go traffic. It's 4 p.m. I'm listening to my book besties on Audible and I am bawling my eyes out at the end of Kingdom of Ash. I'm pretty sure the people who were stopped next to me thought I was nuts, or like maybe, I don't know, my boyfriend just broke up with me or something. No, girl, I was devastated. I don't even know how to put into accurate words the kind of emotion that I experienced in that car at the end of Kingdom of Ash. It was, so I'm not going to spoil the series or anything for you, but everything that happened in the series and then also that it was ending, That to me is the power of books. So yeah, my favorite genres to read. I tend to read across most genres. I think I mentioned earlier, I'm not into like dark horror, but I read everything. I mean, I read romance, fantasy, romantasy, Historical fiction is a big one for me. You know, honestly, I would say that fantasy and historical fiction are probably at the top of the list for me. And I didn't realize I was a fantasy girly. Like, that kind of took me by surprise. But then when I was looking back at the types of books that I like to read, fantasy is at the top. And I will say that I haven't really dove into any of the, like, what'd you call it? Like deep fantasy, like Sanderson. So my husband's favorite author is Raymond Feist, and his books for me are like deep fantasy. And I haven't read any of those. Not because I don't want to, but I just keep finding things that I want to read more than that. And here's my toxic trait, right? I kind of judge his books by their covers, and his covers do not draw me into anything. I know that's bad, but that's just what happens. You know what? Maybe Ray Feist could come out with new limited edition books with sprayed edges, because your girl will be at the B&N purchasing a sprayed edge book like that. And B&N is also in walking distance to my house. Like, it'll take me 10 minutes to walk there. So, you know, maybe that will draw me into his books and make me want to read them. But I shouldn't do that because we already own them, because they're like my husband's trophies are all the Raymond Feist books. So, yeah, anyway, I'm getting off topic as I'm wont to do. So top of the list for me, historical fiction and fantasy / romantasy. I do also like mysteries, thrillers, things like that. So, you know, whatever you got, send it to me. My favorite series to read. Ooh, I don't know if I can answer that. See, here's the thing. Is it my favorite series that I've already completely read, or is it my favorite series just in general? Because I'm in the middle of the Darker Shades series, and honestly, right now, I think she's winning. But if we have to go with series that I've completely completed, I would have to go with Throne of Glass, because I completed it. I told you I bawled at the end of it. Like, I have not recovered from that. I don't know that I will ever recover from Throne of Glass. I just don't think I can. And every time I want to reread it, I think about how heart-wrenching, how gut-wrenching it was. And I'm like, no, don't reread that, girl. You can't afford the emotional trauma. So I don't know. Maybe we'll just go with Throne of Glass. That might be, if Sarah, listen, Sarah did it for me, okay? I'm not afraid to admit it. Sarah has done it for me. So there. Who is my current favorite author? V.E. Schwab, hands down. I read Addie LaRue like a year and a half ago, and I cannot stop thinking about that book. It's been over a year since I read it. Anytime someone asks me for a book recommendation and I don't know that they're looking for a very specific genre, it's going to be Addie LaRue. I don't, listen. And that's what made me pull her back catalog to read as well. And so that's why I'm in the Darker Shades series right now. And after this, I'm going to move on to the Vengeful Vicious, I think it's called, series. Like, V. Schwab, she can write book. My book collection. It's not that large. I have a lot of books on Kindle. And I just don't really want to overcrowd my house with a bunch of books. I don't have room for a whole library at my house, y'all. I'm already a person who tends to collect a lot of I collect everything, and I'm trying not to be that person anymore. So yeah, I don't know. My book collection's not that big. I've got Need to Read, already read, and then like this, you know, that continues. There's more already reads down here, and I have a whole nother Kallax the same size in another room that's got books on it too. I don't know how many books there are. I don't want to know how many books there are, and I'm not trying to have a 6,000 book library in my house. That's not going to happen. So, you know, it's our eclectic book collection, including my husband's Raymond Feist books. We have academic books over here too, and French English books and all sorts of things, being that French is another language that I dabble at speaking. So, you know, that's my collection. You might see it from time to time. It's nothing mighty, but that's okay. Where do I read? I will read anywhere. Okay, I read on my couch, I read in my bed, I read in my office, I will read in the bathroom, I read in the car. I will read on your couch. If you invite me over, I will bring cheese and wine and read on your couch. I recently read at my friend's cabin in the mountains because we had a reading weekend, and that was amazing. I read at the doctor's office in the waiting room. I don't discriminate. What am I most excited for with the new channel? Honestly, just my own personal variety of nonsense. I am primarily recording for an audience of me. Listen, I'm so happy that you're here, bestie, but I'm doing this for me. So I'm just excited to be able to like document what I'm doing and like have the memories to look back on. I am also excited to have new bookish besties like you guys, and I mean, like, truly, sincerely, like, let's be besties. Read the books that I'm reading with me, or if you've already read them, like, let's have our not too deep conversations about it in the comments. If you have a book rec for me, I mean, listen, my TBR on Goodreads is like 75 books long, but I'm always looking to add new books to that TBR because who knows what kind of mood I'm going to be in. I also have Kindle Unlimited, and I had a annual Audible subscription. So currently I'm sitting with, I think, 11 credits for the rest of the year. And she loves to get her 2-for-1s on Audible. So I'm always open to book recommendations, especially from my besties. If you like what you heard or what you saw and you want to stick around for more, I'm so excited for you to be here, and I can't wait to show you everything that's going on. So welcome, besties.